Hello and welcome to Just Ask. So somebody asked the question, is it normal for married couples to be less affectionate after 2 kids and over 20 years of marriage? Okay, so I wrote my answer in my profile thing, so I'll just read it for the sake of the video. So I headed it off by saying that the following answer applies if both parties are faithful and still working on themselves. And what I mean by this is no one cheated on the other person, because under those circumstances it's completely understandable why they would lose affection towards each other, because trust is lost, and so naturally you don't feel for that person anymore. That is possible. So if both parties are still working on themselves, they work, they have jobs, they do love each other, but life is just getting in the way and they just find themselves growing apart, not of anything that they are doing actively. All right, let's get into it. So marriages take work. Much like a machine, it has to be well oiled and kept to be in tip-top condition. Adding kids to the mix just makes things more difficult. Everything and everyone seemingly is vying for your attention. And when I added kids in here, it's just one of those things that when people feel like they have kids, or when they have kids, they feel like everything else has to go on the back burner, that their relationship is dead now because the kids are all that matters. If you want to stay with that person for a long period of time, you have to juggle. The kids cannot take up all of your time. You still have to be with that person. Your identity, you married that person. That person's identity and yours meshed together and made a vow to love each other and to be dedicated to each other. So while you will be dedicated to your kids, you still have to have a life, because it's not only going to benefit you for this in the long run, but it's also going to benefit your kids. You don't want them growing up also feeling as though when they have kids, they're destined to be sad and not be in love anymore. That doesn't make sense. Now, moving on, and this is a very big factor, it depends on your lifestyle as well. Most middle-class married people find that they are miserable or are just hanging on to marriage for the sake of the kids because they have settled. They're working constantly, and so since they are struggling to keep the bills paid, they don't have the time nor the energy to put into keeping their marriage exciting. The reason why relationships are exciting early on is not just because of the novelty of the person, but because usually both parties are younger, or they take every opportunity to find time to get to know that person. It usually wouldn't work if someone is spending 90% of their time away from the person that they're trying to get to know. When people are married, they feel as though they don't have to try anymore, because as far as they're concerned, they already have each other. This is not the case, and many people find that the moment they stop treating their marriage like they treated their dating period, feelings wane. Surely it's normal for the initial butterfly sensations to go away. However, the passionate feeling can be cultivated throughout the marriage. People have done it, but it takes work, creativity, and dedication from both parties. The only reason it's normal for people to lose affection after having been married so long is because, sadly, most people accept the reality. Us humans are living in an unnatural state of existence. We work more than we play, we eat when we're not hungry, we stay in relationships that don't benefit us, and we have children in unfavorable environmental conditions. Many of us have forgotten our own identity as Homo sapiens and how we're really supposed to take in the world around us and function in it. And a byproduct of that is our bodies breaking down, our relationships failing, and our kids being dysfunctional. So normal is one of those terms. Just because it's a frequent occurrence does not mean it's the epitome of normalcy for our race. It is not normal for you to lose affection for your spouse, but unfortunate and common. Now, early on, before this entire spiel, I mentioned that this is under the assumption that both parties are working jobs or have lived a, funny enough, pun intended, normal life. There is another variable, however. Let's say the wife stops giving her husband intercourse. Let's say the husband is no longer ambitious and no longer takes care of his family. Then it is within reason and quite normal from a biological standpoint for each spouse to lose affection for their partner respectively. Women are naturally attracted to men who can protect and provide, and if the man takes on the role of an offspring, relying strictly on the woman to protect and provide, it is natural for the woman to no longer feel affection towards him in that manner. She will no longer look at him sexually, but more of a burden, and may even resent him. She may look at the other males who can protect and provide and look at them favorably. Likewise, males will naturally lose affection for females on some basic tier because they are biologically programmed to want to mate with many young and new females as possible. Truthfully, the act of monogamy or marriage within Homo sapiens is completely unnatural. So there is some normalcy about a man not being as passionate about his wife as he used to be. However, this problem is made worse if the woman no longer provides him with pleasure, nor does she simulate the novelty of a new female or another female. Quite frankly, for a woman to keep her male interested and to keep the marriage spicy, she must simulate being a different female or giving the male a different experience over the expanse of time she's with her spouse. He will still be attracted to other females, as that is his natural inclination, but his bond with her will be strong. But it can only be so if she works on solidifying it, if they both do. If a female is no longer working on herself and she allows herself to be let go, unhealthy, uncaring, and toxic, then naturally her male's affection and dedication to her will plummet, and vice versa with the female. In conclusion, marriage takes effort. In a natural setting, if one male was with one female, they would constantly and directly rely on each other to survive in the wild. We don't really have those issues in our artificial world that we've created, and so we're literally working against nature to keep the spark alive in a marriage. Yes, it is commonplace for love to wane for your partner, but love needs to be cultivated for it to last and reignite. Anyways, if you have any other questions, just ask.